To protect his only industrial spark, Roland solemnly orders amidst the dusty mine that Anna's health must not be sacrificed for heavy labor. Meanwhile, Roland descends into the mud to demonstrate trench digging himself. This humility shocks the workers and gives Anna a glimpse of hope. Back in the office, however, Roland is losing his mind. Looking at the crooked sewer on the north slope, he realizes he desperately needs a civil engineering expert. Just then, Berev brings unexpected news. A destitute mason from the Royal Mason Association is seeking work. Roland's eyes light up, and he summons him immediately. Inside the office, Anna reads quietly, unaware. As the announcement rings out, the key figure who will change the project's fate enters, led by the minister in night. The moment the new mason looks up, his gaze locks onto a familiar silhouette. The next second, a cry of disbelief shatters the air. "Anna, is that you?" Overcome with emotion, the mason rushes towards his former student, sparking chaos. Carter has to intervene with force, while Roland senses the story behind this coincidence. Pinned to the ground, Carl weeps openly, trembling at the miracle that Anna is alive. Watching this reunion, Roland's suspicion slowly turns into contemplation. Composing himself, Carl kneels and confesses his true identity. A famous mason hiding as a teacher to avoid trouble, exactly the talent Roland has been dreaming of. Confirming Roland's tolerance towards witches is real, Carl takes a gamble. He decides to use this chance to beg the prince to save another innocent awakened child. Carl cautiously suggests hiding the girl in the castle. Roland agrees to offer sanctuary, but, as a ruler, emphasizes that he will not resort to kidnapping. Once Carl leaves, Roland's inner ecstasy almost spills over. No matter the ability, a useful witch is a good witch. He is filled with scientific curiosity about the newcomer. Days later, the garden is bathed in sunlight. Alongside Carl, who is solving the wall issues, the rumored new witch, Nana, arrives trembling under Carter's escort. The little girl trembles in fear before the noble, thinking her end is near. Roland looks at her gently, softly shattering her expectation of death. Not only is she alive, but Anna is there too. Nana excitedly introduces herself, while Roland looks at the young girl, his mind already drifting to her future potential. Though safe for now, Nana is still haunted by the church's brainwashing. She timidly asks if Roland will hang her, convinced she has been enticed by the devil. Seeking safety, Nana buries herself in Anna's arms like a frightened kitten. Anna's gentle touch becomes her only sanctuary in this moment. Guided by Roland, Nana recalls the moment of her awakening. It wasn't evil destruction, but miraculous healing water used to save an injured bird. Hearing healing, Roland instantly switches back to engineer mode. He immediately orders a chicken for testing. This is a strategic resource more valuable than any weapon. Looking at the confused girl, Roland acts like a patient mentor, telling her word by word, the church lied. A power that saves lives can never be the work of the devil. Roland watches coldly, seeing through the facade. This isn't about preference, but a calculated move for benefits. Meanwhile, the creators share warm holiday wishes with their supporters. Beneath the sunny colonnade, the atmosphere turns surprisingly intimate. Anna blushes, begging for gentleness, and Roland soothes her softly, yet the rhythmic thumping in the background suggests this is no ordinary date. The illusion of intimacy shatters instantly. Roland waves his staff coldly, sending feathers and blood flying. Poor Carter clings desperately to the terrified chicken. Welcome to Roland's brutal experiment class. Nana trembles as she casts her healing spell, and blue light brings a seeming miracle. But mere hours later, the chicken drops dead, leaving Carter collapsed on the ground, his soul seemingly having left his body. In the face of failure, Roland's eyes gleam with insight, grasping the essence of the magic. Restoration, not regeneration. He calmly dismisses the group, rationality overriding the absurd farce. During the garden lunch, Carter gazes at Roland with pure adoration, practically radiating romance. Roland resignedly distracts her with food, while Nightingale holds her coffee, her eyes betraying a hint of unreadable coldness. Sunset bathes the courtyard in red as Anna waves goodbye. Nana pauses, her eyes filled with confusion and grievance, unable to understand why Anna, a fellow witch, cannot stay like she does. Watching Anna recede into the distance, Roland looks grave. Secrets are bound to be revealed eventually. He turns, gently asking Nana about her father, touching the tenderest wound in the young girl's heart. Facing Nana's refusal, Roland makes a promise as brilliant as the starry sky. With a steady gaze, He guarantees that one day, witches will live freely in the sun, just like ordinary people. Since entrusting the wall construction to Carl, Roland has settled into a leisurely life. He sips tea in the afternoon garden, watching the witches practice, enjoying this rare calm before the storm. Yet beneath the leisure, he never truly relaxes. Roland stands alone atop the north slope, arms crossed, scrutinizing the wall's progress with a burning gaze, calculating the future defense of Bordertown. In the office, the illusion of peace is ruthlessly shattered. Barov holds the ledger, face grim, pointing out that recent construction and recruitment have nearly drained His Highness's personal coffers. The bad news strikes like lightning. Barov screams that fund will only last until next autumn. Roland collapses instantly, head in hands, his dignity replaced by the sheer terror of poverty. Chapter 14 begins with a heavy atmosphere in the study. Barov, sweating profusely, watches the fourth prince who seems like a completely different person, while Roland buries his face in his hands, burdened by immense stress. Memories flood back. The Roland of the past was debauched and lost in pleasure. But now, this prince who acts decisively in Bordertown, offending every noble, leaves the old minister Barov feeling both estranged and desperate. Everything changed since saving the witch. Roland is now mired in an economic quagmire. Relying on savings is futile, and the meager income of Bordertown leaves him frowning in worry. Barov terrifies himself, guessing the prince is possessed, but the knight instantly dismisses the absurd notion. Before the gods lock it, all are equal. He may be possessed by poverty, but certainly not a devil. Meanwhile, the ambassador from Longsong's stronghold steps onto the dilapidated pier. Looking at the destitute backwater filled with nothing but stones, his eyes betray undisguised contempt and disdain. But greed quickly replaces contempt. The ambassador points to the distant wastelands, eyes glinting with calculation. To him, this uncultivated land and potential resources are the perfect opportunity for annexation. Expecting mountains of ore, the ambassador points at the empty yard in shock, while Barov simply narrows his eyes and calmly points toward the castle. On the way to the castle, the ambassador grumbles about this losing deal, only to be silenced by the sudden appearance of a Willow Town merchant ship, sparking suspicion in his eyes. Watching the red-sailed ship laden with cargo, the ambassador's heart sinks. If Roland has opened trade downstream, his monopoly bargaining chips are instantly worthless. With speculation about this mysterious prince swirling, they arrive at the castle and take their seats at the candlelit table, the air thick with the tension of a silent game. Faced with two strange wooden sticks, the ambassador sweats, his clumsy fingers struggling to pinch a slippery tomato, his aristocratic composure crumbling into embarrassment. Watching Roland solemnly elevate cutlery to a matter of civilization and hygiene, the ambassador stares in disbelief, utterly unable to comprehend the prince's advanced train of thought. As the setting sun bathes the castle in gold, Roland momentarily casts aside political games, closing his eyes to savor a delicious cake in the calm before the storm. At the negotiation table, Barov reports a mining halt. Roland furrows his brow, feigning deep worry and playing the role of the helpless prince to perfection. Suddenly, Roland's gaze hardens as he invokes the tragedy of the months of the demons. His icy tone declares the end of the old predatory trade rules. He will not yield. Facing the ambassador's attempt to offer credit, Roland reveals his trump card, Willow Town's gold royals, blocking any retreat with the cold, hard logic of profit. Roland presses the attack, directly questioning the ambassador's authority to speak for the other 5 families. The sharp inquiry pierces his facade, leaving him sweating in panic. The arrogant face of Duke Ryan flashes through the ambassador's mind. The stubborn old man despises the exiled prince and would never agree to fair trade. Knowing the odds are slim, the ambassador grits his teeth and throws out a desperate offer 30% below market price, only to be ruthlessly rejected by Roland once again. When soft tactics fail, he turns to hard ones. The ambassador darkly hints that the road to Willow Town is full of accidents, a naked threat hanging over the dinner table. But Roland bursts into laughter, his eyes radiating absolute control as he casually drops the bombshell. "I'm not going anywhere," leaving the ambassador's jaw on the floor. Roland then announces he will build a wall to face the demonic beasts at Bordertown, a plan so mad and grand it strikes the ambassador dumb with shock. The mud-digging prince, once mocked by the nobility, has become a nightmare for the ambassador, who realizes those jokes might be turning into a terrifying reality. No matter how absurd the rumors, the ambassador wipes the cold sweat from his brow, determined to see the impossible wall with his own eyes. In the dead of night, Roland jokes about refusing maid service at his door, revealing the principled yet shy modern soul hidden beneath the prince's exterior. However, as he opens the door, the air freezes. The mysterious witch Nightingale sits in his room, her playful gaze piercing the silence of the night like a blade. The night shatters. A blonde assassin emerges from the shadows with a mocking smirk. Roland's pupils dilate in shock, but before he can scream, the deadly figure lunges at him like a bolt of lightning. Bang! A flaming dagger bites into the wood, inches from Roland. It's not a kill, but a warning. The mystery woman advises calm, but Roland, enraged and gripping his sword, snaps back. Is this how you ask for a talk? Facing Roland's interrogation, she slowly lowers her hood, revealing captivating purple eyes. She calls herself Nightingale, and the tension shifts into mystery as she unexpectedly thanks him. Memories flood back. The coin with the eye of the Holy Mountain, the organization Berev spoke of in fear. Roland realizes with a jolt of dread. This dangerous woman is from the legendary Witch Cooperation Association. You're here for Anna. Roland regains his composure, gambling on a bluff. But the amusement in Nightingale's eyes turns cold as she reveals the truth. If Anna were dead, blood would have already been spilled. Not just Anna, she knows about Nana too. Nightingale speaks with undeniable authority, the confidence of absolute power. Roland realizes too late that every move he made has been watched. A chill runs down his spine as fear sets in. For the past week, a pair of purple eyes has been watching him from shadows. The helplessness of being completely exposed makes Roland's heart race. Roland feigns calm, trying to break the suffocating passivity. Suddenly, Nightingale drops her guard. Bathed in soft blue light, she strokes her hair, a charming invitation. Don't just stand there. Come, sit. She stands tall, radiating an awe-inspiring blue aura, the pride and power of a witch. With a confident smile, Nightingale declares she isn't here to scare him, but she knows he has the guts to face her. Smack! Nightingale slams her hand on the table, asserting dominance. After the psychological warfare, Roland is sure she means no immediate harm. Though outmatched, he takes a breath and invites her to speak. The negotiation begins. She closes the distance instantly, her finger lifting Roland's chin, eyes twinkling with amusement. The world sees witches as monsters, but this man shows no fear, only pure, unadulterated curiosity. But warmth is just a mask. The facade drops. Nightingale's expression turns ice cold. She is no longer a playful guest, but a ruthless enforcer. I am taking Anna and Nana. It's not a request. It's an ultimatum. No, Roland shouts instantly, desperation in his voice. He knows the border town is their safest harbor. Their gazes clash violently in the air, a fundamental conflict over what protection truly means. Roland, agitated, exposes the association's desperate reality. Heading north in this winter is suicide. He wields cruel facts as a weapon, trying to shatter Nightingale's seemingly perfect plan. Nightingale admits they hide in the mountains, but Roland's mind flashes to the legend of the Holy Mountain. A hollow hope. The thought of witches chasing a myth through the freezing winter strikes him as absurd and heartbreaking. The months of demons are coming. The mountains won't save you. Roland has an epiphany and drops a crazy proposal that stuns Nightingale. If you need to survive winter, why not stay here in my border town? Nightingale hesitates, but Roland is already seizing victory. He clenches his fist, eyes burning with ambition. If he can prove this winter that witches aren't evil, he can rewrite the rules of this world. The tension eases slightly, but Nightingale suddenly drops another heavy anchor. Anna is about to come of age. The words hit like a boulder, casting a sudden shadow over the newly kindled hope. Come of age. Roland is confused. Nightingale's gaze turns deep and sorrowful. She prepares to reveal the cruelest, most despairing truth about their bloodline, why they are truly seen as the incarnation of the devil. A warm, festive illustration briefly dispels the gloom, where characters' smiles and sponsors' names intertwine like starlight, marking a fleeting moment of respite. The scene shifts back to the magical realm. Under a deep night sky, the blonde youth looks grave as cruel legends of the months of the demons and the witch's fate weigh heavily on his mind. In a dim corner, the girl curls up and screams in agony, as if a beast is tearing through her veins and muscles, a despairing torture of the body being devoured. If they cannot endure this inhuman torture, a miserable death awaits, bodies shattering and scattering, leaving only a neglected black stain on the ground. With tears in her eyes, Anna reveals the cruel truth to Roland. Only by coming of age and stabilizing their power can witches escape the cursed fate of being deemed the devil's incarnation. Faced with the choice between the mythical holy mountain and reality, Anna's gaze sharpens. She craves not just survival, but a world where she can breathe freely and no longer hide. Roland is filled with guilt for using them, but seeing Anna's gentle and trusting gaze, he grits his teeth and solidifies his resolve to execute the plan. However, when Roland proposes the relocation plan, Nana clutches her chest in terror and refuses outright, instantly freezing the harmonious atmosphere and bringing the plan to the brink of collapse. Anna anxiously warns of the surging magic, but Nana, drowning in her longing for a normal life, fights back tears, painfully resisting a fate destined to be different. Finally, Nana wipes her tears, her gaze turning incredibly firm. For the promise of only wanting to stay by your highness' side, she decides to face her fear and battle the devil within. Meanwhile, learning he will be monitored by Nightingale all winter, Roland erupts in fury, while Nightingale, hiding behind the door, simply casts a cold, scrutinizing stare, yielding nothing. Facing the mysterious hooded witch, Nana shows no fear. Looking her in the eye, she declares her resolve with the calmness of one who has seen death, vowing to protect her comrades. Cold steel flashes as the sword is drawn. Nightingale, clad in white robes, wears a confident yet icy smile, ready to face the approaching storm. Knight Carter watches in shock, cold sweat running down his back. The oppressive presence of the legendary assassin with soundless stealth leaves him suffocating. In the quiet of the night, Roland's gentle touch brings a blush to the girl's cheeks. Her coy whisper of fool melts into infinite tenderness under the warm light, dispelling the night's chill. The next day, under the bright sun, Roland stands on the high platform. Facing the dense crowd in the square, he solemnly announces his name with a grave expression. As the setting sun turns blood red, Roland's voice is heavy yet clear, ruthlessly delivering the bad news of the mine collapse and food crisis to the people, freezing the air. He closes his eyes and sighs, recounting his desperate attempt to borrow grain from the ambassador. Every word reveals the burden and difficulty of a lord pleading for his people in a hopeless situation. News of the failed negotiation detonates the crowd. Fear and anger surge like a tide as people recall the tragedy of starvation 2 years ago, embracing each other in despair. Facing the wave of despair, Roland's gaze cuts like a knife. He denounces the unfair trade and vows never to abandon a single soul, his thunderous voice stabilizing the crumbling morale. Facing the furious crowd, Roland spreads his arms, confidently announcing food secured from her sales. But just as cheers erupt, he suddenly shifts his tone. He admits to severing ties with Longsong's stronghold, risking a siege. The smiles on the people's faces freeze instantly as fear spreads through the crowd. Roland's voice booms across the square. Mocking the beasts as mere targets, he demands, will they starve like cowards or fight to the death for their kin? Gold coins crash onto the table. With a solemn promise of compensation, the crowd's blood boils. Amidst tears, fists rise in a vow to die for his highness. Roland shuts his eyes, swearing a solemn oath to defend the town. Meanwhile, deep within Longsong's stronghold, a mocking laugh echoes from the castle in the night. In the dimly lit chamber, nobles openly mock the naive prince, predicting his mason-less wall will inevitably collapse and become a joke. Questioned by the duke, Petrov's fingers tremble slightly. He tries to frame the situation through profit, emphasizing the or monopoly, thickening the tension. Petrov shrewdly points out Roland's commercial ambitions go deeper, but the duke's sharp gaze cuts him off instantly, demanding the main point. Petrov's gaze hardens as he boldly suggests aiding border town, using Roland as a shield against the beast to secure the stronghold's long-term future. The duke sneers at such merchant thinking. His eyes turn cold as he rigidly refuses. On his territory, sovereignty allows no interference. He turns his back, his raised hand like an immovable iron gate, coldly declaring that even a prince cannot break the rules here. The scene shifts to Chief Knight Carter, face twisted in shock, staring at the cold steel in disbelief, while Roland stands by, simply smiling. Roland strokes the machine lovingly, praising Anna's welding. Carter, sweating cold bullets at the strange shape, tremblingly asks if this is the work of an evil cult. Ignoring Carter's confusion, Anna ignites the flame. As the furnace glows, Carter gasps, realizing it's merely a combustion chamber, though his doubts remain. As steam rises, the metal piston begins its frantic rhythm. The heart-trembling, clanking sound signals the full awakening of the steel beast. The flywheel spins violently. Anna reaches out in curiosity, while Carter stares at the tireless monster, a chill of unmatched power gripping his heart, stronger than 10 knights. Carter stares intensely, calculating rapidly. No 15 years of training needed, no fear of pain or cold. If armed with a ram, it is the perfect killing machine. Amidst the hissing steam, the mighty knight's back looks incredibly lonely. His faith crumbles. In this new era, is there truly still a need for knights? While Carter sinks into the abyss of self-doubt, Roland looks confidently at the night sky. He sees not slaughter, but the grand blueprint of a coming agricultural revolution. A sudden noise shatters the silence. Roland grips the handle, heart skipping a beat. Peering through the crack to check the corridor, he lets out a long breath, realizing the rumors outside cannot be fully trusted. No sooner has the crisis passed than that elusive figure appears inside. Rage ignites in Roland as he shouts at the boundary-stepping Nightingale, while she simply studies the rumored incompetent prince with amusement. Nightingale's fingers trace the blueprint taken from the locked drawer, a glint of intrigue in her eyes. Ignoring Roland's interrogation, her sharp intuition tells her this is no ordinary stove, but a revolutionary power. With the secret exposed, Roland drops the pretense. A fanatical light burns in his eyes as he describes the steam engine to his curious audience, a steel beast capable of shaking the very foundations of the world. Hearing it requires fire, Nightingale smirks and dominantly claims the scroll. Ignoring Roland's panicked protests, she undeniably announces the Witch Cooperation Association's involvement, taking unilateral custody. Yet this is no robbery. Nightingale reaches into her cloak and reveals her true bargaining chip, an intercepted secret letter. Roland's pupils constrict, cold sweat drenching his back. It is a notification of death. The letter trembles in his fingertips as the cruel truth surfaces. The submissive maid, Tyre, is an assassin lying in wait, ready to plunge a dagger into her master's heart when the months of the demons arrive. Embarrassing memories flood back. Roland flushes recalling his predecessor's absurd behavior toward Tyre. Facing Nightingale's lethal offer to cleanse the threat, he suppresses his shame, his gaze turning cold and determined to find the mastermind. The deal is struck. Nightingale's figure fades into the blue light. She curtsies elegantly, vanishing into the shadows with the blueprint as her reward, leaving behind a promise of coming bloodshed.